What is up, YouTube? What is up, Canada? Matt McKeever here. And today we're going to be talking about vacation and cottage properties, specifically in Canada, and whether are we entering a bubble. So right now we've been talking a lot about real estate on this channel. Obviously, I'm kind of biased towards real estate, but we've been talking a lot about could Canadian real estate be in a bubble? I've shared some of the reasons it could be, some of the reasons it couldn't be. We've talked a lot about the data, but we haven't necessarily focused on vacation or recreational properties. So today, there's recently been some studies that came out from Royal LePage that show us some more information and data in regards to exactly vacation and cottage properties. If you guys remember, or maybe you've forgotten, but I'm kind of obsessed personally about a vacation or recreational property right now because I'd like to buy one. I'm not really sure what I want to buy yet, but we're looking. We've checked out some cool properties. I've lost in a bidding war twice on the same property, if you guys can believe it. So definitely, I understand the market could be hot out there. Mind you, the property I was bidding on, it did end up doing a 20% price drop, and that's really what attracted, I think, myself as well as the other bidders into the arena. But anyways, before I get into really my opinion and my thoughts in regards to whether, Canada's vacation and recreational properties are in a bubble, let's check out some of the data and stats. And I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you currently own a vacation or recreational property? Are you currently in the market for one? And if so, what are some of the details that you need? I think for me, it's not an absolute must-have if I've got an indoor pool, but I need indoor pool or waterfront. One of those is absolutely a must-have, and I'm kind of spoiled and want both mainly. So I don't know. It is kind of the rare property that fits my needs, or at least it has the potential for me to add on a indoor pool down the road. But anyways, let's jump into some of the stats, and you guys tell me, what does your dream vacation property look like? But hopefully you can see here is a quick little article from Newswire, courtesy of Royal LePage. And it says, Canadian recreational house prices soar 11.5% as remote work drives demand in cottage country. Now, on the surface, that sounds crazy. But again, when we put in perspective to what's going on in general in Canadian real estate, it actually sounds like these vacation recreational properties might be laggards. I mean, every other city seems to be 20% year over year. But anyways, Canada's recreational property market forecast to increase 8% in 2021. 86% of recreational property regions are reporting lower inventory as demand outpaces supply. Again, this is true almost of every market in Canada right now, or at least at some point this year. And 54% of recreational property regions are reporting a significant increase in buyers who are purchasing a new primary residence where they will work remotely. Now, I think this is a new trend that we can probably thank to COVID. It's definitely a new trend for me, right? I originally, if I was going to buy a place, I thought I wanted to be in Toronto, where now I've decided that's the last fucking place I want to be. So I'd actually love to be somewhere where no one can hear my screams. Actually, now that sounds scary to me, but that is actually what I'd like. It's lots of space. So 5-10 acres minimum. And ideally, you can't hear or see the neighbors. But let's go further into this data. And again, love to hear your thoughts or your opinions. I see Tanya in the comments is saying agriculture or acreage as well. Yeah, I totally see the draw towards that. Although I grew up on a cash crop farm. So if you're just going to be on a random cash crop farm, it's not necessarily that fun. We did have a bush with a creek running through it. So that was cool, with a little culvert that you drive the ATV over and all that stuff, and a little four-season shack back in the bush. But anyways, according to Royal LePage, year-over-year price appreciation in Canada's recreational property market soared during the first 9 months of 2020, driven by Canadians' abilities to work remotely. So essentially what we're looking at is recreational market rose 11.5% to $453,000, and the aggregate price of a condominium rose 9.7% to $280,000. The aggregate price of a waterfront property increased 13.5% to $498,000. Now, I'd love to get your thoughts, because I was sharing with Peter, the producer, before we jumped on today's show, that actually $500,000 for a waterfront property doesn't sound batshit crazy to me. If anything, that actually sounds cheap. So it makes me more bullish on this. But I'd love to know if you guys think I'm crazy. But I mean, how much waterfront property is there, right? And obviously it depends on the waterfront. Now, I don't think shitty little rivers that you can't have at least a canoe or a boat in count, in my opinion, as waterfront. I know some realtors maybe stretch the definition, but that's really where my mind lands. So it would be interesting to see, maybe this is being drawn down by properties with like a creek running through it. But if that's true, waterfront is in like you're on a beautiful freshwater lake, that actually seems really affordable to me. I'm 100% in. So I think that's really the only thing I want to touch upon here. But again, we can see these articles are kind of jumping around. So this one was originally from November 30th, but we can see this narrative's continuing. So Royal LePage recently, just 2 days ago, I guess this would be, did an update and said they're now forecasting a 15% increase in 2021. So our highlights here from Newswire are a house in Ontario and Atlantic Canada's recreational property markets expected to see highest price gains in 2021, rising 17%. Quebec and British Columbia recreational markets forecast to increase 15% and 13% respectively. And then 91% of recreational experts in Canada reporting lower inventory. Again, this is par for the course when we look at what's going on across the Canadian real estate market. And 46% of recreational experts reporting an increase in inter-provincial migration. Hey, could someone please send this to that asshole realtor in Alberta that won't do a virtual showing with me because he doesn't believe anyone would move from Ontario? So he's literally insisting that I get on a plane if I want to be able to view the goddamn property. No, there's lots of us, dude. Apparently 46% of your peers understand what I'm trying to do here, but he doesn't. Anyways, according to Royal LePage, the aggregate price of a house in Canada's recreational regions is forecasted to increase 15% to $500,000. As demand continues to rapidly outpace inventory. And the company revised its 2021 recreational property forecast released in November. That's the one we were just checking out. So from coast to coast, the line between primary residence and recreational property is blurring. Said Phil Soper, president and CEO of Royal LePage. The trend began last summer when the option of traveling abroad was taken away. Hey, sounds like something I've been saying since day one. I really do believe Canadians' consumption patterns and habits are going to change drastically because of what's going on. My parents are baby boomers. I don't think that they plan on getting on an airplane anytime soon. And if you guys want anecdotal evidence, talk to your own baby boomers. I'm willing to guarantee the vast majority of them are playing it a lot safer than you realize. And again, it's important for us to understand that because they do drive a large portion of the economy. So looking at this article a little bit further, the aggregate price of a house in Canada's recreational property regions increased 16% year over year to $437,000. And the aggregate price of a waterfront property, so this is interesting. They clearly got something a little bit disconnect here. Increased 9.8% to $813,000, and the aggregate price of a condo rose to 10. So I don't know if what they did here was break it out, or maybe previously this waterfront that we had here at 500,000 was including condos. But I don't know. That's a big gap. If you're telling me that 800,000 is the average price for that waterfront property, that seems actually a lot more reasonable, where I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. Because essentially where my mind goes is if I have to think twice before I want to buy it, I imagine that that's around the right price point. Because again, this is obviously a luxury item, right? But again, when I compare a lot of the $800,000 waterfront properties to what I could buy for $800,000 here in London, waterfront looks pretty good in my opinion. They're always on bigger lots. Some of your neighbors aren't going to be Four Seasons. As long as you're on a four-season road or all-year road access, it seems pretty tempting to me. So that's just kind of my opinion. But one thing I did want to highlight here, the younger generation is a very active segment of buyers. A recent Royal LePage survey released last month on real estate trends among Canadians aged 25 to 35 found that when given the choice, 47% said they would choose small town or country living, while 45% said they'd prefer to live in a city. So nearly 2/3 of Canadians in this age group, 63%, who are employed or seeking employment, say the ability to work for an employer that allows the option of remote work is important. And again, this is going to continuously happen more and more. And I imagine that we're going to see a continuous trend of people wanting to move to Atlantic Canada if they're able to commute, because look at these prices. Oh no, a 17% increase, but you're at 226,000. Well, it's either that or a Toronto parking space, I guess, right? Give or take. Maybe you can get 2 parking spaces if you negotiate well, but I probably would take the house in Atlantic Canada personally. So again, I just find it interesting. And when we're looking at waterfront properties in Atlantic Canada, again, 255,000. So one really nice parking space in Toronto or a waterfront property in Atlantic Canada. Now, I don't know if that guarantees that you get lobsters with your waterfront, but it still seems pretty tempting. And I think that we'll continue to see people want to relocate where base camp is. So again, the Financial Post picked up on this as well. This is pretty much, again, just based upon the Royal LePage report, I think, primarily. But if you want to watch a interview video, we've got the video here that Financial Post shared with us, and I believe it's interviewing the CEO of Royal LePage. So links to everything we're talking about are in the video description down below, guys. And then, Globe and Mail posted one, but it's behind a paywall, so they won't let us see. But based upon the published date, it's also about the Royal LePage. And then finally, Yahoo Finance jumped on as well. So one thing I do want to show you guys is just like how quickly the narrative changes, right? So Royal LePage, a real estate brokerage that probably has an interest in trying to get people to want to transact in real estate. They come out with one study, and all of a sudden across the board, we can see it in all the different news cycles, right? And the media just jumps on it. And so this will definitely create a fear of missing out, right? You open up Yahoo today and you see that cottage prices soar. You open up National Post, cottage prices soar. You open up the Financial Post, cottage prices soar, right? Like Globe and Mail, and then also Newswire. It's very easy to see how we can find ourselves in that echo chamber. But I'm going to say also, I think cottage prices are going to soar. And the reason for that is I think there's a lot of demand out there for every asset that's related to real estate right now, almost for any asset that's not a fiat currency. But for any asset that's real estate right now, we can see that supply just can't keep up to demand. And we're going to be coming into prime cottage buying season very shortly. So I don't see what's going to cause people to want to change their desire for these waterfront properties. Definitely not going to be changing my desire. So appreciate those of you jumping in the comments, sharing your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know. Is it waterfront or bust for you guys? What does your dream cottage have to have? I really also do need the sauna. Now, thankfully, saunas are a lot cheaper than indoor pools. So if I have to pay out of pocket for the sauna, not necessarily a big deal, but definitely something that is attractive to me. Fairly cheap for around Lake Huron. Tanya, I'm not sure if that relates to waterfront or to acreage, but Lake Huron was the lake I grew up nearby. So acreage is not necessarily that cheap if it's workable. You're probably talking 20,000+ an acre for workable land. Crazy, because I can remember, this is probably going to date me, but I can remember being in high school and kids talking about land going for 3,000 to 5,000 an acre. And I can remember like hearing the adults then be like 5,000 an acre is ridiculous. Just not sustainable. Can't happen. You can't make money at more than $5,000 an acre. And now they're like 22,000 an acre. It's not too bad, really. So it's just fascinating to see how our opinions change. And now, I think we all know inflation played at least a small role in that regards. But anyways, love to hear your thoughts. Are you thinking about working remotely? Are you considering the idea of telecommuting? And why not go out to Atlantic Canada? And like I've said, if enough of us agree to go and take over Quebec, I'm in, because their real estate is just ridiculously cheap there. I can find my waterfront property with a nicer pool than any pool in the rest of Canada for under $1.5 million. The only issue is I've got to deal with Quebec. But this is where I'm saying, if we all get together and we just go buy Quebec, let's just all buy it. Just promise me, at least let's buy a township. I'm pretty sure we can carve it out. Maybe we can just get it annexed by Ontario. Or maybe Newfoundland's looking to carve out another piece of Quebec. They got Labrador already, right? Maybe we can get them to carve out my little chunk as well. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, and if you've got any sweet waterfront properties with a pool that are off-market listings, you know whose DMs to slide into. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.